Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers best bet or daily package for only $2.
Welcome, everybody, to Wager Talk Today. I am Lawrence Prez, Mcinnis, Teddy covers. We got a jam-packed show for you all. Adam Trigger is going to join us right off the top. He's going to talk Browns and Steelers. That's the Thursday night football game. He's also going to look at the K-State-Oklahoma game. Andrew Mcinnis coming on. He's going to look at the Chiefs-Colts game. I can't wait to hear his thoughts. And we're talking some NHL today. He's got a season totals win-loss bet. And, of course, Dave Sharapan. Teddy, before we get into the show, full disclosure, I absolutely stunk last night. Last night was the single worst betting day I've had. I got to tell you, man, maybe in the last year it was that bad. And my 5% play was on Minnesota and Philadelphia over the total. Look, I can sit here and make excuses all day long, freaking interceptions in the end zone, this, that, and the other, blah, 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 blah. But the bottom line is the Vikings just stunk. I want to tell everybody, guys, I am so gutted by this. Like, you know, all you guys, so many people, I want to sell picks for a living. You don't want to sell picks for a living. Trust me on that. It is the highest stress job you can possibly imagine. I mean, you spend all day working on this shit and all night staring at scores. Then you lose a bunch of important games. You can't have sex. You can't eat. Your washroom trips are shit. You end up on TikTok 4 hours a day out of depression. You don't want to sell picks for a living. I'm 7-7 to start the NFL season. Just fine. And yet, I'm so gutted, Teddy. I'm so gutted. I don't wish this life on my worst enemy. That's my attitude. With that said, I do love doing this show. Teddy, how did you do yesterday?
I won last night. One play in NFL, one in MLB. We won in NFL. We lost in MLB, but the big one was on the Philadelphia Eagles, minus the spot against the Vikings. So, look, you know, when you say you wouldn't wish this life on anyone, I don't disagree with that. That being said, it still beats a real job, man. You know, with all the stress, with all the gray hairs, I couldn't imagine working 9 to 5. It's just not, I wasn't built for it. And that's why we do what we do, Prez. And obviously a bad night. It happens to all of us. But I'm sure you'll bounce back strong.
Yeah, listen, I mean, I agree. And the crazy thing is, Teddy, I am way better in the NFL in the second half of the season than in the first. So hold it together is what I'm saying to myself. Hold it together until the best section kicks in. Dude, you mentioned 9 to 5. What are your hours? On an average, let's say between September and April, what are your hours?
7 a.m. to midnight?
Yeah. I'll take that 9 to 5 job, anyone out there? And I mean, that's 7 to midnight. Oh, my God. Anyway, Teddy, before we bring Adam in and before we get into what did we learn, let's really just, let's go to what did we learn first. What did we learn last night in the wonderful world of sports betting?
Sure. You know, well, Prez, in college football right now, there are 3 teams that are ahead of everybody: Alabama, Georgia, and Ohio State. They're going to be touchdown favorites against every other team in college football. Doesn't matter. USC, Oklahoma, Michigan, Clemson, everybody. There's 3 teams that have effectively lapped the field in college football. In the NFL right now, I got the Bills a field goal better than the number 2 team in the league, which is as high as I'll ever have an NFL team ranked number 1 over everybody else. And then I've got Kansas City a field goal better than the number 3 team in the NFL. So in college, you have Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State at the very top. In the NFL this year, you have the Bills and the Chiefs at the very top, and then there's a drop-off. And Buffalo showed us last night how good they can be. Another impressive performance from the Bills. But now we want to ask ourselves, who's the number 3 team? Who's the third best team in the NFL right now? I was going through my power ratings last night, making my final adjustments heading into this week. So you can say the Chargers, but Herbert's hurt and Allen's hurt. They're not the third best team with the quarterback and the wide receiver hurt. Rams, they haven't covered a point spread yet. They got blown out by Buffalo. Stafford's throwing ducks. Super Bowl hangover. They haven't looked good. I can't call them the third best. Bucs offense hasn't worked at all yet. They've got cluster injuries all over the place. Brady finally looks old. I'm not calling Tampa the third best team. The Dolphins took advantage of a Ravens secondary, missing multiple guys. The offense has scored 2 touchdowns the first 6 quarters. The defense gave up 8.8 yards per play and currently ranks dead last in the NFL in yards per play allowed. No, Miami's not the third best team. The Packers? Not with that receiving core. The Ravens? Not right now. They're not with the injuries in the secondary. The Bengals are 0-2. The Niners just lost their starting quarterback for the season. Oh, the guy they designed the entire offense for. Could it possibly be the Philadelphia Eagles as the third best team in the NFL? My power ratings, it is. Prez, what do you think?
Yeah, listen, I mean, interesting question, Teddy. And I'll tell you, I would put Philadelphia and the Chargers as 3 and 4 in either order. I understand Herbert's injured. I'm going to assume that he will come back. He will be fine. And even without Keenan Allen, I look at this Chargers team. They did not have Keenan Allen in the game against Kansas City on Thursday night. They marched down the field. They threw an interception that changed the game around, and they still were able to make a comeback. You could get to talk. Go ahead.
If Keenan Allen's in the game, that's not a 99-yard pick six. That's the Chargers winning and covering, and they're the third best team in the NFL. But
no,
without
maybe
Keenan
they're
Allen
second.
in the game, but without Keenan Allen in the game, it's not that.
But I understand what you're saying, but we're not. Firstly, if Keenan Allen was in the game and they won that game, they would arguably be the second best team in the NFL, not the third. Okay. So given that they lost that game without Keenan Allen, while still in fairly decent control of that game from start to finish until the interception, look, we're splitting hairs here, dude. I'm with you on this Philadelphia team. I'll tell you what impressed me last night about Philadelphia was their secondary. They were smothering. And it wasn't just the interceptions, because those interceptions were more on Kirk Cousins underthrowing his receivers. But in all seriousness, the wide receiving core for Minnesota, including Jefferson, were blanketed last night. It was an impressive defensive display, and their offense is ticking too, very well balanced. For not only run and pass, but even inside of the pass plays, they're running screens, they're running wheel routes, they're running slants, but they're also throwing deep and creating space underneath. I'm unbelievably impressed with Philadelphia, but I got to tell you, assuming the Chargers are healthy, there's no reason they're not the second best team in the league, man. That defense is deadly. But either way, I'm with you, dude. It's either Philly or the Chargers. I'm happy for you to pick. Shall we bring Adam Trigger in and ask his thoughts?
Sure. Why not?
Ad, who's the third best team in the NFL? Jacksonville?
No, I mean, I think it's the Chargers. Like, you kind of made my argument, Prez. If they're healthy, I've got them the third best. I mean, if they're not, then you
it's
have
not
to.
About. I'm going to talk about when they're healthy. This is today, where the Chargers.
Okay.
I'm not talking about when. If everything, no, the Chargers today have Herbert with bruised ribs that are going to affect him all year. You ever bruise your ribs, man? That hurts.
Yeah,
right?
I actually
every
have.
throw he throws from now until January is going to hurt. And they're missing one of their top 2 wideouts. The team doesn't have any wide receiver depth. So today, who's the third best team in the NFL?
Yeah, Teddy, I've had 5 bruised ribs before. That is not fun. So that's a really good point. I was going to say the Bucs just because they're 2-0, 2 road wins. Their defense has given up very little. But you make a good point. You make a good point with the Eagles. I'm just saying it's like today or how you have them projected. Like I actually think the 49ers are better with Garoppolo than Lance. Like I give them a bump. Now I'm not going to put him in third right now, but I certainly think the 49ers are a better team with Garoppolo under center than Trey Lance. So it's all relative. I like to project out more than like, I'm not worried about where they're at today so much based on what's happened. I'll look at like what's going to happen based on, where I think they can end up next week and the week after. But I can't argue with you right now.
Yeah.
From what we've seen, the Eagles have to be number 3.
Well, the lines, Teddy, are to win the Super Bowl. Buffalo plus 400. That is insane. Kansas City plus 700. Tampa Bay plus 700. So the bookmakers consider Tampa Bay and Kansas City tied. The Rams at 1,200. The Eagles at 12. The Pack at 14. And the Chargers at 1,600. So the bookmakers do not agree with us. So perhaps there's value on Philly at plus 1,200, Teddy.
So let's recognize that any one book, when it comes to their future book, all they're trying to do is make a profit, whichever team comes in. So all they're trying to do is balance their books. They don't have liability on one side. That's why we talk about line shopping for every half point on all these games. When you're betting futures, line shopping's as more important than anything, because one book will have a team priced at plus 750, and another team will have the same team priced at 15 to 1. All right.
Yeah.
And that's routine. If you just go through your apps and, wow, let's do this day on the 10 to 1, and they've got them at 18 to 1. Well, where am I going to bet it? I'll bet it at the 18 to 1. But so the books, that's not an opinion for the books about how good the teams are. There's no opinion there from the books at all about how good the teams are. It's all reacting to the money. So that's the markets are saying this at one book, not the broader markets are saying something about Tampa Bay or one of these other teams. It's just they're trying to balance action.
That's a great point. Teddy covers everyone with a great point. Teddy, we went 5-0 in our contest this week, 8-2 to start the season. I feel like you've done a lot of the heavy lifting, so thank you, my brother. Let's get into it, dude. Cleveland at home, -5 against Pittsburgh. Interesting line here. Total is 38. I want to bet this game under, dude. I mean, I'm dying to bet this game under. I hate 38. How should we bet this?
Well, Prez, I like the Browns here. Listen, the line up to 5, that's a sharp move. The majority of the money and the tickets are on Pittsburgh right now, but it moves, and that's got to be sharp. And I have a feeling that, the Steelers are the square dog right now, but I have a feeling the move has a lot to do with Najee Harris, who's going to come into this game banged up, and I don't know that he'd be really effective against the Browns anyway, because that's an elite run defense right there. The Browns defensively, overall have been pretty good. I'd almost say they've been close to elite. The problem's been closing out the game in the fourth quarter, where they've given up 17 points in both games so far. They nearly let the Panthers back in. And then, of course, the debacle with the Jets last weekend, both of which I benefited from. I was on the Browns week 1 for a 5% play and cashed, and then I had the Jets plus 7 this past weekend, and that got there in that fashion. But, an interesting stat, guys. The Browns have scored on more offensive possessions than any other team in the league so far. And Jacoby Brissett has actually been extremely efficient, and he's been pretty good. He's only turned the ball over once. And he's kind of running an offense that he doesn't really have to do a whole lot in, because the Browns are elite at running the ball. So here I look at this Steelers team. They really look like the same team as last year. I don't think Trubisky improves them at all. The offense looks very similar to when slow, aging Big Ben was under center. The Browns, they lost both of these games to the Steelers last year. And then, of course, the way they lost last week to the Jets, just crippling. I think the Browns are going to be up for it here. At 5, I don't know if it'll make a best bet. I took some myself at 3.5, and all of a sudden, this thing jumped right up. But I wouldn't be surprised if it goes off closer to 6, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Browns won this one by at least touchdown, potentially double digits.
So when we talk about these Thursday night games, my experience has been these games tend to be a little bit more random than your average Sunday game or Monday game. Teams do not have great game plans. They don't have enough time to prepare. And, it's a product that is intentionally weaker for TV revenue. And then the league has made that trade-off, and bettors need to understand that going in, that the Thursday night games are not going to be as good as Sunday or Monday games because the game plans aren't there. So with that, on Thursday night, here's a coach in Tomlin who's been a really good road dog over the year. It's a series in which the Steelers have been able to hang consistently with Cleveland. A lot of field goal games between these two. So we have a good coach and a good coach and a good role for him, and a series history that says laying more than a field goal with anyone in this series is a little bit problematic. To either of those factors concerned.
I actually think they hurt the Steelers more in this situation, Teddy, for two reasons. One, Harris is banged up, and they're going to have to figure out how to overcome that on a short week. Two, no one on that Steelers offensive line is capable of going one-on-one with Myles Garrett. He will eat whoever he's on for lunch. And so they're going to have to probably double him. So there's two things right there. I come back to the fact that I don't think this offense has improved with Trubisky under center. So in my opinion, if Cleveland can focus here, which they haven't been able to do the first 2 weeks, but not much is going to get your attention more than blowing a lead the way that they did on Sunday to a team like the Jets. If they're focused, Prez, he said he likes the under. There could be some weather in Cleveland. I saw some wind, and it's under 38. It could be one of those games where the Browns show up, the Steelers, struggle to do much of anything on offense and score, 10 points, and the Browns cover the number. Maybe they're not a prolific offensive team here, but Brissett has been efficient and they can run the ball. They're elite. They're an elite rushing team, Teddy, and they're in the top, I think, 6 or 7 teams in the league right now in yards per game. So I really think the Browns are a far superior team, and I think that Jets loss is going to have their attention. I like them to win comfortably on Thursday night.
Adam Trigger, everybody, 5-2 to start the NFL season. Awesome stuff, Ad. We're lucky to have you, exclusive handicapper over at WagerTalk.com, and also part of the Hustle podcast. A lot of great feedback on that podcast, Adam. When can people hear it, see it, read it, listen to it, do whatever they do to it?
Yeah. So it's every Wednesday night, 6 p.m. It's Kelly in Vegas, myself, Drew Martin Betts, Chris Thurston, right here on WagerTalk TV, the WagerTalk app, YouTube, all the usual spots. But yeah, Wednesday at 6 o'clock, we talk football and just try to get you ready for the upcoming week. Usually some good sharp action from, Jay Cornegay's been on a couple times. We're going to have a couple other guests. So yeah, we have a good time. Wednesdays at 6 p.m. On all the places that you can find Wager Talk program.
Perfect. Beautiful. Okay, Ad, Oklahoma destroys Nebraska last week, -12 this week. There are 13s out there. They're playing K-State. The total is 53. Where do we go here?
Well, Prez, I like Kansas State plus 13. I know it's moved a little bit. I locked this in for my clients as a 4% play already at 13. Kelly's going to probably kill me now that I gave this out because she probably thinks I'm mushing Kansas State on her. But listen, Oklahoma is only 4-12 in their last 16 games as a double-digit favorite. And one of those was last week against the Nebraska team that it just couldn't be more of a mess right now. You go back to Nebraska from last year. The reason that they were in so many close games, in my opinion, is Adrian Martinez, who's now Kansas State quarterback. And while Martinez he hasn't really won game, he hasn't been the catalyst in the wins for Kansas State yet. He also really hasn't made mistakes, and he's a guy that I'm okay with going to battle as a double-digit underdog in this spot because I don't think he's gonna be the reason we lose. Kansas State has one of the elite running backs in the league. Who was really kind of held, silent last week, only 81 yards against Tulane after huge outputs in the first 2 weeks. And I wonder, guys, at what point can we just say that Tulane played a good game? Because I hear a lot of wow, how did Kansas State lose to that team? And it's Tulane might have one of the best group of 5 defenses in the country this year. And they played a good football game. They leaned on their defense and they found a way to win. And of course, you have to at least acknowledge the fact that Kansas State might have been looking ahead to this game. If you look at this series in recent years, Kansas State has performed well in this series. They lost by 6 last year. 2 years ago, they won as a huge underdog. The year before that, they won as a pretty big underdog again. They've only been blown out once because 2017 was a close game as well. And in 2018, that was Bill Snyder's last year when Kansas State was kind of a mess. They didn't make a bowl game. So Kansas State performs well in this series, and I think there's merit to that because Kansas State is a team that always gets overlooked in the Big 12, where you've got Oklahoma, Texas, even West Virginia. Since West Virginia and TCU have come into the mix, they almost get too much attention. And teams like Baylor and Kansas State, in my opinion, kind of just fly under the radar. Of course, Baylor not this year after last year, but Kansas State, I certainly believe, is one of those teams. They're very good defensively. I was high on them coming into the season, and I just think 13 points is way too many here, guys.
So last year, you talked about K-State has given Oklahoma a real battle each of the last 3 years. Last year, the line was 13, and that was in Manhattan. This year, it's 13, and it's in Oklahoma. And from all indications, the Sooners' defense is a whole lot better this year than it's been last year. Now, K-State moved the football. They scored in the 30s each of the last 3 meetings, 2 wins and a cover the last 3 times against K-State. But this year, is that Oklahoma defense different? And if they are different, are they capable of shutting down a Kansas State tack that sometimes the better defenses can shut down pretty easily, like Tulane was able to do last week?
I mean, Teddy, it's possible, but here, I really like Kansas State in this spot coming off that Tulane game. I'm going to operate under the assumption that they really were looking ahead to this game because that's the only real explanation for what happened last week, other than Tulane's just pretty good and that defense is really good. And I guess that's something we'll see play out in the coming weeks.
Yeah.
But I guess when you take a 13-point dog, you have to make some of those assumptions some places. Like it's not because it's going to be a lot of Oklahoma money here, guys. Like I don't think it's like rocket science that Oklahoma is a pretty solid team to this point. With that being said, you look at the way Kansas State's been able to game plan for them for the past couple of years, and with the exception of 1 year, which was a really poor Kansas State team, Kansas State's game plan for Oklahoma has been outstanding. And I look at this Kansas State team with Deuce Vaughn and a quarterback that's not going to kill us, like he's not going to make a ton of mistakes, and then a defense with the caliber of Kansas State's defense, which has been good for a couple of years now. I just think it's too many, and the market's already agreeing with me. I gave this out at 13. We're down to 12. I wouldn't be surprised to see some 11.5s pop up. Just think it's too many points, and Kansas State can compete enough here to get us the money.
Adam Trigger. Guys, it's $2 Tuesdays over at WagerTalk. Adam Trigger is the $2 Tuesday expert. He has a 5% max bet up. It's in college football. You're on a great run, 63% the last 2 weeks of college football. And last year, over 57% across the entire season. So outstanding work. Anything you want to say quick about that 5%? Then we got to let you go.
Yeah, it's my first one in college football this year. Definitely the spot I've liked the most so far in college football. Hit 3 of 4 to close the year last year. Haven't had a ton of 5% plays for college football, and it's my first one this season. But, last couple of weeks have been good. Last year was great overall, basically 58%. I think it was like 27 or 28% bankroll gain, so a solid season there. And football's really been great going back to the beginning of last season. So first 5%er for college football, it's only $2. It's up on my page. So check that out.
Awesome stuff. Adam Trigger, everyone get out of here, guys. Okay, Teddy, we got a $2 Tuesday handicapper at WagerTalk, Adam Trigger. Every Tuesday, we have 3 for $5 over at Sports Memo. For $5, you get 3 handicappers. This week, it's Rob V, Buster Sports, and Jesse Shalou. So check that out. It's $5 for those 3 guys. We're going to take a quick break, everybody. Wait till you see Andrew McGinnis's new haircut. Andrew Peaky Blinders McGinnis will be joining us right after Teddy's Big Game Breakdown and, of course, Dave Sharapan.
Tuesdays known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers best bet or daily package for only $2.
It is time for today's big game breakdown. Let's talk a little NFL. We're off to a nice hot start in the NFL already this season, 7-2 for the season with the first 9 releases. I'll take that all year if I can get it. I do have a 5% big ticket already loaded for week 3 in the NFL right now. Let's talk about the LA Rams and the Arizona Cardinals. Look, right now, look at the Wager Talk Live odds screen. I'm going to call it Rams -4 still. There are 3.5s popping up. Arizona taking a little bit of money. Total sitting in the 49.5 range as we talk here on Tuesday. So we start with the beginning of the season. All right, Zona gets blown out by KC. No shame in that. LA gets blown out by the Bills. No shame in that. The 2 best teams in the NFL blew out each of these teams. Last week, big difference. The Rams got a blowout win against the Falcons, and they fell asleep. The Cardinals got blown out again, but the Raiders fell asleep. So what you're seeing in the betting markets is a little bit of support for Arizona because they stole one that they had no business stealing, and a little bit of disrespect for the Rams because they almost let one get away in a game that they dominated. All right. Are the Cardinals good now? Or maybe they just got a little momentum boost against a vulnerable defense late in the game. Remember, that was 23-7 midway through the fourth quarter. The Raiders were just trying to burn clock. They just couldn't burn any clock. And then Kyler Murray got hot. And he had 3 sick fourth down conversions, including the one with zeros on the clock. I'm not convinced that Arizona has solved all their problems. They got hot for 9 minutes down the stretch against Vegas. And let's not forget, in overtime, Arizona marches down the field and then gives the ball up. Raiders were on their way to win the game had they not turned it over. And then the fumble returned for a touchdown. So it wasn't even like Arizona was good enough to win that game in OT if the Raiders don't screw up. The Rams defense is no joke. And Sean McVay was not amused after they led 28-3 last week and almost let it get away. Expect 60 minutes of football for the Rams this time around. Home field advantage for the Cardinals. How about a home field disadvantage? Arizona's 0-6 straight up, 0-6 against the spread their last 6 home games, dating back to Thursday Night Football last year against the Packers midseason. There's no home field edge there. How about Kingsbury versus McVay? There's 7 meetings since Cliffy got the job in 2019. The Rams win 34-11. The Rams win 30-23. The Rams win 18-7. The Rams win 38-28. The Rams win 31-24. And the Rams win 34-7. Arizona did win one in LA last year. The only time in 7 meetings where Murray went off. 6 of the 7 point spreads were right in this range, plus to -3.5. The one was -7. McVay, 5-1-1 ATS against Kingsbury. Playoff revenge for Arizona. My butt playoff revenge. LA wins, LA covers. Give me the Rams, minus the spot. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
Teddy, let's talk about your butt. In all seriousness, I love that play, Teddy, but I have a question about it. I like the Rams' first half better than the Rams on the game. We have seen this play out with Arizona as well. This is a team that just takes a long time to get going. The Rams, as you said, McVay is pissed. They're coming in on fire. Do you prefer the -4 for the game or the -2 for the first half?
I prefer the -4 for the game. That's why I use the game as my big game breakdown. The concept here is that if I wanted a first half play, I'd have said, here's a first half play. And this is why we think LA is going to come out on fire. We think Arizona is not going to come out with that same intensity. But the fact that LA just blew that 28-3 lead last week makes me think that LA is going to bring a different level of defensive intensity this week. And that allows me to play a full game wager and not worry about who's getting the first kickoff and, I only have 4 possessions in the first half or some funny business like that. I'm with the full game here.
Teddy covers everyone. Okay, let's bring Andrew Mcinnis in. And dude, Are you auditioning for season 7 Peaky Blinders? Is that the concept here?
I'm just always trying to keep everyone guessing, always trying to shake it up. I grew my hair out all summer long and gave her a good little shake up, little snip before the new year starts, or I guess the new football season starts. So, guys, I just want to say I feel like I'm being haunted right now by the Arizona Cardinals. Like, that was a great big game breakdown, Teddy, but I'm just tired of hearing about that team. I had a 5% pick on the Raiders on Sunday, and I feel like I just can't turn my TV on without seeing highlights of that game. I can't check my phone without seeing highlights of that game. You live and learn, but man, that one is still in the back of my head.
Andrew Mcinnis, and I read all your Twitter. You were not happy about it. Let's get into it because, well, we're up against the clock, bro. Okay. That's normally what happens when Trigger and Marco start first. Right. Okay, the Chiefs and Colts. Kansas City -6.5 in this game. Man, I want to bet the Chiefs here. I don't see how Indy can keep up with this team, but man, Frank Reich's job's on the line. This team's season's on the line. They are at home. They laid a complete disaster egg against Jacksonville. And we know this, right when you think it's time to fade a team, that's when you bet on them. So how are you going to attack this game, Andrew?
Well, I'm really happy you led into it that way, Prez, because, in the betting markets and just in general, the betting community, everyone talks about these terms: overreaction, reacting, overvalued, valued. And when I look at this Colts team, I feel like I am 100% ready to downgrade them already after 2 weeks. I mean, based on their quarterback play, based on how many sacks they've given up, based on, their defense right now, I'm not impressed with them, and I don't think I'm overreacting saying I am well prepared to downgrade them. And from what I've seen so far from this Colts team, and you take a look at, some injuries they've had, and sure, you can make excuses for that, but a tie in week 1 and then getting your asses handed to you by, wait, hold on, guys. Who did they lose to again? The Jacksonville Jags? That's the team that shut them out and dominate them? I mean, to me, I have to take recognition of that. I have to notice that. And I'm just not really too high on this team. And I'm not high on Matt Ryan at all. And the coaches' quotes, just to get into it real quick, with coaches' quotes, to me, with handicapping, I always find it's interesting as people can kind of twist the narrative whichever way they really want to when you see a quote. But I look at the quotes right now from this team, and you'd think they're in week 14 right now with what they're saying. It's angry and pissed off quotes, but it's almost like defeated quotes after 2 weeks. And I don't as much like that. I want to recognize that a team is playing poorly and a coach to say that, but I don't know. Don't crap all over your team as much as I'm seeing. At least that's how I see it. And as far as this Chiefs team, Patrick Mahomes said at the start of the season, all you fantasy players out there, I'm sorry, but it's going to be a different guy every week, a different person stepping up. I love teams like that. And we saw that with the Chiefs in their game against the Chargers, several contributors. And yeah, you could argue maybe they shouldn't have won that game. But you know what? You could also argue big-time teams make big-time plays, and the Chiefs got that pick 6, 99 yards, I think it was. So that's what good teams do. They make plays like that. So, look, I'm willing to fade and bet against this Colts team until they prove me otherwise.
So I just want to ask you, Adam, because this is, when we talk about handicapping and factors that matter and factors that don't. I'm not a big sharp square divide guy, but I'll tell you what, when the public is loading up on one side, I do pay attention. Yeah. Those are games that tend to hit the cutting room floor as opposed to games that and I end up releasing to my clients. And every Sunday I tweet out, here's my take on the sharp square divide and the pros versus Joes. So far this season, the Joes are 1-6, I think. They're not winning the games, and I would anticipate that to continue. And this is clearly going to be the biggest public play out there this week. It was the look-ahead line was -3. Now you're laying 6.5. All of these factors are saying overreaction. Public loves them, overreaction. Is this really a good bet at KC -6.5? Is this a bet that you're going to actually take money out of your pocket and wager on? Is this your definition of I just want to know like your parameters here?
Well, first of all, those tweets that you do every Sunday, they often, are very correct. Same with Steve Merrill with his Fade the Public videos. They're they're there for a reason and they make a lot of sense. And I get that, Teddy. This is a pick that I've had as a free play video play so far and an article play so far. And it has not been a client release as of right now.
Yeah.
Will I have a little bit of money on it? I think I will, Teddy, because you know what? I am that low on this Colts team right now. It's in week 2, right? Everyone calls it overreaction week. And then in week 3, you can overreact to what everyone overreacted to. I'm not betting the Colts. That's for sure. You know what I mean, Teddy? Like, I think for me, it's Chiefs or pass. That's for sure.
Yeah. And listen, my suggestion, sorry, Andrew, my suggestion to everyone is pass. Okay, brother, we're right up against it. Dave Sharapan waiting in the wings. I love this bet you're giving out. It makes so much sense. Boston Bruins, go ahead. 1 minute, Andrew.
Okay, guys, Boston Bruins here. Look, NHL season is here. As you know, I host Puck Time. I'm really excited about it. And season point totals here. I am looking at the under for the Boston Bruins on their season point total here in this one. They're starting the season with McAvoy out. He'll be out for a few months. Brad Marchand is out for a few months. Matt Grzelcyk is out. So 2 key defensemen, one of their best forwards on their quote-unquote perfection line. A team that was very top-heavy last year. You take Marchand out of the picture, it'd lose plenty of goal scoring. You take 2 key defensemen out there. They're going to be a very bad defensive team this year. And I think by American Thanksgiving, we're going to know exactly how bad this Boston Bruins team are. Hot take here. I don't think the Bruins make the playoffs this year.
Yeah, I don't think that's that hot a take. No disrespect. I think the Bruins are going to be very far down from playoff position. Andrew McInnis, everyone. Guys, Andrew last year was plus 153% ROI in the NHL. The whole season, start to finish. It was sick. There is an early bird special up for his NHL right now. Go take a look at his page. Andrew, you got to get out of here. Go sign up for Peaky Blinders, kick ass, razor blades in your hat, all that stuff. Love the haircut. Dave Sharapan in the Penn State outfit. What is up?
Wow. First of all, great to see both of you. Flex Tuesday, no drama at all, okay? McInnis comes in with this new fresh haircut. Looks amazing. Good to see him. I mean, I don't know what he's doing with it, but it's working. Boston Bruins under. Not a hot take. You're talking about hockey already, Prez. We're right in the middle of football season. We got baseball playoffs coming up, and you're giving out season win totals.
I'm not giving out anything. Andrew McInnis gets to choose what games he speaks about.
That's fine. Andrew can do no wrong by me, so that's fine.
Yeah,
you start this drama. I don't want any drama. Please.
I want drama.
You like the drama.
Yeah, I do. Really quick, Dave. One of our listeners says if they buy 2 handicappers long-term, for instance, and one is a 5% play and the other's 5% play is against it, what do you do? Pass on the game. It does happen. We've got between Sports Memo and Wager Talk, we got 70 handicappers. They're going to be against each other from time to time. Just pass on that game.
Sometimes Dave, you cross the streams, but, it's like asking you, I would turn that right back to whoever asked that question. So it's like trying to pick your favorite kid. It's hard. How do you decide between the 2 handicappers? I don't know. That's
yeah, well, that's why you pass. Dave, I'm going to ask one question and then Teddy will handle the rest of the segment. All right. Kirk Cousins in prime time. How could that be a thing? I don't understand. It defies logic. Is that really a thing?
Sometimes these things do defy logic. But, if you look at that game last night, logically, and, we got our guy, Dan Alexander, newbie to producer, he was there. He saw it firsthand. The Vikings aren't that good. They're just not. They're going to be good at home, okay? But I don't think they take the show on the road. To be able to play well in the NFL, for decades, things are changing. Yes, they're always evolving, but you still need to be able to run the ball when you're ahead, play fast and catch up when you're down, and play good defense. You do that at home and on the road. I don't know. I've been waiting for Minnesota. Oh, they changed the coach. They did this. They did that. They looked, I don't want to say light years behind the Eagles last night, but it's pretty clear who the best teams in the NFC are, and I don't put Minnesota on the list yet.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with that at all, Dave. No, listen, Dave, you've been a bookmaker. You were a bookmaker in the global books for many years, in Las Vegas for many years. Here we are, 2022. Have things changed in the NFL betting marketplace in any real way over the last 25 years? Or the concepts that worked 25 years ago going to work now, or 20 or 10? You know,
I think,
and I know that's a broad question.
For example,
I'm interested in your answer.
What would be an example of that?
Are things, do the lines move faster now? Is there more attention to the teams that get off the hot starts or slow starts? I'm sorry, Lawrence?
I'll give you a great example, Dave. Historically, -6, any -6 and below, the point spread really has not come into play, roughly around 80-something% of the time. Now what we're seeing is more parity in the NFL. Do you think something like that still holds, where if it's -5, they win, they cover? Or do you think with the parity, it's becoming, the line from 6 down is becoming more important than it used to be?
I don't think the actual, for the people that have been in the business a long time, I don't think the betting or the booking of the games has changed much. I think what's changed is all the noise around it. I think all the different levels of everybody's looking for something that may have changed or may have not. This has been going on since bookies were writing tickets on a piece of paper and putting it in their pocket or underneath their hat, like back in the day. And I think now we're all looking for reasons why this might be or this might be. And I feel like the space is getting so convoluted in that regard. Now, as far as the NFL, they're constantly changing the rules. They're constantly changing the stress of what the officials are going to call and what they're not. What is a penalty and what is not. So as a result, I think, just like any feeling out process, the numbers are a little bit in September. I think bettors have an advantage in September. We used to call it in the book, we're just giving everybody a loan. You're going to give it back. We want you to win in September, so you give it back in October, November, and everybody has a good Christmas in December. This is what happens. The other thing that has been going on since the beginning of time that I think, when someone figures this out, Theodore, we're all going to retire on an island somewhere. But if you can handicap turnovers, if you can come up with a system or a model or something that we can sell to the world that says we know when they're going to turn the ball over and how often they're going to do it, it's over. Until you can do that, betting on football is hard. And betting on the NFL is the hardest. The market is very tough. I was out on Sunday and I met a group of people. And I lost a bet, so I had to wear my Cleveland Browns hat that I just bought, never had one in my life. And this guy says to me, see that group of people over there? They needed the Browns money line to pick up 300,000. It was the last leg. The Cleveland Browns were up by 13 points with a minute 50 to go in the game. It's almost impossible that the Jets won.
99.9%.
Yeah.
So, Dave, the stat on that was it had been 2,229 NFL games since the team had blown a 13-point lead inside the last 2 minutes. Well, this is how sick it was. I remember the game the last time it happened.
Of course, I remembered it too. As soon as I saw it, I was like,
do you remember what happened the next week when Chicago went out to San Francisco the next week and did it again? That time the rally started with about 2.5 minutes left. It was back-to-back weeks they came from 14 down in 2002, and I still remember it in my head. Which,
it's crazy.
I don't remember what I ate for lunch yesterday.
Right, and that's the thing we remember. I think, and so, to just give you a roundabout answer, I hope I gave you a couple points to answer your question. I think the ability to adjust is what makes both the bookmaker, odds maker, as well as the bettor. That gives you your best example of success. I think we take what we saw. Obviously, that game happened back in 2002. You remember it. I remember it. You remember it, but you don't use it going forward. I think you almost have to have the Men in Black forget thing, I like to call it, as a nebulized zip, gone, and start every week fresh. You can start it with you and Drew with the odds ahead look show, do this stuff all week, and then boom, get to Friday, have your plays ready.
Dave, Teddy, I'm jumping in. Speaking of that odds ahead show, as you call it, the opening line report from Teddy Covers and Drew Martin. Teddy put up yesterday that it is his favorite show to do, the most important show.
Yeah.
And Steve Merrill will be co-hosting Wager Talk today moving forward. Teddy can focus on the opening line report. Teddy, I think you should do that show daily.
Wow. Holy crap.
So
I'll do the show with Theodore. I'll do the show with Theodore.
3 times Lawrence said that he wasn't that we're short on time and he wasn't going to talk anymore. 3 times he couldn't help himself from jumping in for nothing. Dave Sharapan, I want to ask this. Okay, we haven't asked about games yet, and I still need to ask you about games, but
okay,
I'm seeing more mainstream betting content than I've obviously ever seen before in my life, whether it's Stephen A. on First Take, whether it's, there's a lot of mainstream betting content right now from people that clearly don't bet. All right.
Yep.
What can shows like this do to offset that type of misinformation that's going out there in the books? Like, oh, this quarterback go over. I mean, the stuff last night was insane for Monday Night Football. Like, oh, yeah, both quarterbacks going to throw for over a touchdown and a half and 300 passes. Oh, you're getting a plus price on it. It's clearly going to win. I mean, the analysis from the mainstream guys just blew me away with its ineptitude and its stupidity. And it's like, you clearly have not made a positive expectation bet in your life. What can we do to do better so that those guys get shut up?
I don't know. I'm not comparing myself to anybody. I really, I just keep showing up and doing the shows and try to do the best job I can do. And I think just as people in general, we have to do that ourselves. We have to just be ourselves. And as far as the content space, I mean, like, they may have a bigger megaphone, but it doesn't mean what they're saying is true. And I think what we can do like right here every Tuesday is just kind of speak the truth. And I mean, I do it every day in the content space. And I think that the people will find the lights as they go. So I don't know. I mean, we don't need to I think what has to happen, at least in general, especially for people that have been around the business, is you have to stop trying to step on people to get up to the top. Because a lot of people are doing that already. And it just gets ugly and convoluted and nasty. And then people say this about this and that and whatever. Just show up and do the best you can. And I mean, people will continue to find the good stuff. And I think, the bad stuff eventually is going to go away. Now, it may take a while, Teddy. We may be due for some real interesting dynamics over the course of this football season into March Madness. And then it might reset next season. But it's really crazy. I mean, I get asked this question, a lot on and off the air. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't know what anyone else is doing. I'm trying to just do what I'm doing. And then, we'll go from there.
Real quick, Dave, because we are out of time.
Yep.
Our viewers need something actionable.
Did we get enough likes? Did we get enough likes for the presidential address?
Well, funny you say that. We did, but there is no presidential address today. We are flat out of time, and I'm giving you my 2 minutes.
I really feel like
shut up, Dave. Answer Teddy's question. Drama.
You got 2 minutes. Give us actionable info. Where's the early money coming? NFL and college football or MLB?
Holy crap! They already played the Browns.
Dave. We'll make this. Dave, wait. We're gonna make this good. Dave will do the daily presidential address. Cue it up. Put him in.
And then me and you can dance.
College football.
And then me and you can dance.
College football. Go ahead, Dave.
Well, first of all, I love that music. And second of all, I am honored to be right now talking during the presidential address. I am no Prez. I am Dave Sharapan at Sports Beat Cake and Sig, and I will do what I can in the next 1 minute and 20 seconds. Off the cuff, he throws this shit at me. Here we go. Thursday night. Browns, okay? They already played it. I don't know why. I mean, how could you lay it with the Browns after that debacle? What just happened? They played the Steelers. The game's going under. It's as low as could be. It's still going under. There's only a couple notable NFL games this week. Ravens and Patriots is one of them. What do you do with that game? I don't know. What's the line from Boiler Room? The only people I see making money passing are wearing uniforms and playing quarterback in the NFL. You don't play quarterback in the NFL. Prez tells you pass, maybe pass. Bills, Dolphins. Bills are the best team in football. It's not even close. They're going to take the money with the Dolphins. They're going to take the points with the Dolphins there. What else we got? We got a lot of bad football games. Packers, Bucks. Packers, Bucks. Tremendous game. Watch that one. They're probably going to lay it with the Bucks. They laid and waited. They set up that game last time. Keep an eye on it. And then, 49ers, Broncos? Who in the hell is going to bet the Broncos? I don't know. That's going to be a wise guy play, a bad guy play, rhombus, parallelogram. They're going to take the Broncos because they're going to lay it with Jimmy G. If you hadn't heard, is not a quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers. How am I doing on time?
You're done.
We're out of time. Great work, Dave Sharapan.
That's a lot of pressure.
Andres Loria just keeps writing "Fade the Prez" over and over and over again. We get it. Dude, listen, I had a bad night. What can you do? Teddy, my brother, we are done. I'm going golfing. See you tomorrow. My good friend, take us home. Look at the pit
Thanks,
stage.
Dave Sharapan at SportsBK Consig on Twitter. Thanks, Andrew Mcinnis. And thanks, Adam Trigger. We'll do it again tomorrow. Same time, same channel. 9 a.m. here on the left coast, noon for you back east. Between now and then, enjoy the games and good luck tonight.
Tuesdays is known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers, best bet, or daily package for only $2.